Oh, I think that makes a good opening thumbnail as well, don't you? So let's get things over and started. So I'll remove the box again. My music player is already going, of course. Do that. Yes, bring in me. Bring in the border. And try and do something again about my wire. Although that's of course not going to get out of the way, but well, we can do with what we can anyway. But welcome to the stream. How are you doing, Internet? I'm Beanuts. Back to our build stream for the Master Grade 1/100 scale Dynames. And so last time we got about this far, I did remove the main hatch so that I can try and repair the hook which had snapped off. So overnight I used some of my Tamiya extra thin cement, and now you can't even see the white of the stress mark, but I'm going to do one last coat later on and then wait for it to cure. I'll probably end up using a small piece of plastic across the end there just to keep it in, just to keep the hatch part in as a little bit of extra insurance. But once all that gluing is done, and the cement does add a thin layer every time, so it should be a bit more secure. So we will continue on. I'll be focusing on the waist and hopefully get the legs as well. And the waist unit does include the thrusters, as you can see up here. So the body at least should be complete by the end of this stream. Now I did want to compare, and for point of comparison, the holographic parts on this, and you can see the light reflecting somewhat off of that, and those on the real grade Exia. And you can see the scale difference. This is 1/100 scale, this is 1/144th scale. But you have the holographic part in the knee there, for example, and it does reflect iridescence occasionally if you catch the light correctly. But it was definitely a pain to deal with, to put it in. So one or the other leg should catch the light correctly on occasion, and it does look very cool when it's in, but they were a pain. I do believe that behind these there were silver foil parts also, probably, that don't stick, that go in behind those, and then the cover goes. Did catch a bit of light there, so you can kind of see. Even though I lost some of the others occasionally, bending those to fit, that was insanely difficult. And I watched a number of videos of other people building it to get an idea of how they did it. And basically it was the sandwich and trap technique all the way. But yeah, for a long time, this was the best looking and best articulated version of the Exia, and there's no question it comes with a lot. This is basically the 7 swords loadout right here. But at this scale, in messing with the foils, that was a huge headache. By comparison, these are a lot easier to handle. There is no foil behind it, but that's not such a big deal. That wouldn't be the deal breaker. The deal breaker is the ease or difficulty of getting them into place and having them stay in place. With the Exia, you had basically to trap all of the pieces, but with this, and it is easier to catch the light, they're properly tapped. You know, they have tabs and slots, so you're going to get them in much easier, and they are easier to make stay in. So I'm definitely a big appreciator of that. Not sure if the light was reflected properly in that, but I definitely liked working with these a lot more than working with the real grade version of same. Sort of the same, sort of not. Though the real grade does look pretty good. Unquestionably, the best version of the Exia is the perfect grade, though, because they didn't cut back on the articulation, they didn't cut back on the looks or anything. In fact, they enhanced it, and it just looks absolutely stunning once you put it together. Regardless of whether you get the lighting mode, if you get third-party lighting, it still looks good. Alright, and it's not as expensive. It might break in unusual ways, the lighting, but it's still excellent. I have mine up on a shelf. It's displayed very prominently, and whenever, it just works. When something works that well, you know, you have to appreciate the fact that it does. So anyway, we need A, B, C, the D's, E1, F1, and F2. Is A, B, and C are all here. I'm gonna get that down by more frame. And E1, this is E2, which I don't need. This is E1, the yellow. This is F1 and F2, the green. Sure that my tools are in easy reach and not under stuff. Here comes the bot. I can move my mouse out of the way. I generally will not need it. And begin with the B. How very convenient. So this is the waist part, and you can see on the instructions it's going to have a drop-down slot, which is always good for the articulation, but as well for this one, it's not just a matter of the articulation, it's also a matter of the poses that are specific to it. It's going to be for dropping down into a sniper pose. Which is one with the crossbar. $32. You can see here, this is the action base adapter. It, I think, might be the standard one that comes with master grades. It might be more specifically for this model, as that possibility also exists, although I'm not really sure about that. Apart from the hands, in the action base, do we actually have that much left here? 29. As for the other kind of usual stuff that I generally tend to cover in Star Trek Online, another red alert, galactic red alert has begun. It looks like he is pretty much done. We have the action base, which I will hand, which are holding, and those will come back for the weapons. But I can take off the action base now. And that's going to go up into the bottom of the crotch and hold the unit in place on top of an action base. And as for these guys, so that I keep them nice and organized, maybe I'll just cut those out. I aim to make that whole bunch of noise. There we go. So this whole thing is empty now, and I can set the hands aside because they will be coming back later. I will just put this over on my bed because I no longer need it. As for this, let's see. Like this. No, that's not right. Like this. You can see the line for it. And so it goes to there, this goes to there, so that it can successfully drop down in, and it would drop down that much. Such a simple seeming mechanism, and yet it can, this kind of thing can do so much for the unit. And then this slides in here, I'm guessing. And all the way. So the front skirts would connect onto there. Certainly this goes on a certain way. Yep. So that's the basic one unit, but now we can put on some armor. A10 and 16. This being the two different colors. Over my wire. And one. Just making sure I got the right part. This is like that. Let's just mark it. Oh, and by the way, the fellow who dropped in on my last stream from YouTube, he decided to follow me or subscribe to me, so thank you for the subscription. Kitty, I am good. Thank you very much for that. I do greatly appreciate it. Okay. This. Thank you for that. And then we can continue on. So for part of this, yes, the waist includes a bit of grenade type stuff in it. In F1, so it's going to be in a bit of C. Quite a bit going on in this part. That also A34, A34. Those are different parts. These are the same. Right at. Oh wait. 434. Those are all 34 here. 3. They are the same parts. Of course, it makes sense. They are basically shaped the same. They're just facing differently. I just wanted to make sure that they were the parts that I was using immediately. Is it all of these? These 4 things here. And I keep my my wire completely out of the way time because I'm working with some small parts. I do not want to do stuff out of the way. Is 30. It's part of this. And 36. This one. This is just 2 units, but there is a whole lot going on here. So there's a whole lot to it. Makes sense. Was 32. And that goes on to A35. Trying to get a better angle. F's and C's. Over. Yep, this is C. Smaller piece though. Both C font. Up here. And most unfortunate thing with ball joints is that they seem to be the weakest connection out of anything that you could have. They're not peg and port, hinge. Ball joints, they have the most motion and they have the weakest connection, usually. It depends though on how well they are designed together. Because some of them can be tighter, but the less ball joints you have, the less polycaps you have, it seems like the more stable the overall thing becomes. Usually, that seems to be the case, although it may not be strictly true. These ones seem to have small gates on them. And up here. And the worst offender out of all of them when it comes to ball joints is generally the SD grade. The simplicity means that it was also developed on that basis, with that sort of design in mind and budget in mind. And SDs are known for having joints that will pop out easily. You can also pop them back in easily, but still you have to deal with that all the time when you're dealing with something that was developed under the SD label. That goes just as well for the BB Senshi, BB Legends, and Cross Silhouettes as for the SD standard. It's just that some of them were developed with slightly different budgets and designs than the others, which does make them more solid. But that still means that you have to deal with that sort of thing. Hopefully that is the correct way for that hinge. Really hard to tell though. I take it out. And it seems to indicate the smooth side is this way, which would mean that that is correct. Well, let's see. If I put more of it together and then it's wrong, and that would be unfortunate. This is the side that's supposed to have the missile stuffing. And that's not going to come back up. This should go this way. It'll go in like this. Wait, this one goes into the top. Oh, it's in the side, isn't it? Ah. Yeah, that was right. So you can't really see them because they're just molded and not painted, but there are little grenades there. So you could paint them to detail them up. Is this gonna snap into place? Yes. That's one of them. First one went in so smoothly. This one, though, do I have it the right way? I think so. Come on. It actually seems to be oriented the other way. But you know, there's no doubt of which way it goes if you put in like this first. So, there we go. And that's one of the front skirts. Let's see, that is correct. There's a notch to go in a specific way. Probably yes, it is. But it came right back off. Or maybe that wasn't it going in. That was latch part being pushed in. There we go. This way may not be exactly the way that it wants us to do it, but it does work. And it ensures that the parts are in the correct way. Push this in the rest of the way. Nope. And there's the front skirt complete with the rockets. As for the back skirt, well, according to this, we get to start with the thrusters. We've always had a kind of fondness for the things that make other things go zoom. Here. Let's see. Oh, it's divided into sides. Okay. Our nippers down underneath stuff. Five. That's the foot. This one. I think that's the right orientation. We have two of these sea runners, which means they're all identical parts. But one is designated left side, the other is designated right side. Meaning that at some point you're going to have a divergence that allows one of them to be mounted on the left and one on the right and nowhere else. until that point, the thrusters are designed to be mounted on either side. So the fun part is going to be figuring out at which point do they diverge to the extent that it can only be placed on one side and not the other. So there's going to be a mounting point somewhere and not on the other side. These parts are also exactly the same, they're for the thrusters. Me, I like a bit of extra there. Where's my gold? On quite right. Yikes. That's a bit much. Then again. You can't see it, but I've now got this puddle of gold paint on the side there. Where do I put this where it won't run on something else? Fine, but I've now got an issue because of Bill. And it's gonna look nice and burnished. Got some fingers too. Get this one. Well, it's this is paint that dries fairly, but it's always nice to be sure that it's done flowing. Anywhere else that I can use it? I'm sure I can use it without getting into other places because it's so runny. I guess that'll be it then. Without getting anywhere else. And that's why I have this cardboard here. Okay, that should be safe. What else do I need? Guys? Cards will shoot promptly, so I'll snip further away first. Well, did that get closer by accident? Oh, I actually didn't snip that part. Five. While I'm snipping, paint is drying. That's what I call perfect timing. Oh. But those will all be ready to go on. Turn on my watch. Next, let me put these together. One goes onto here first. Onto this or something else. Kind of hard to tell. Seems like it should go here up or something. Like maybe it should go here. That doesn't seem right. It does seem like the lower one here goes here. Isn't it? But doesn't. Huh? Maybe like this. It's really hard to tell. I guess, I mean, I could try something to see if it stays. This is the first time this seemed really weird. So like this, maybe the whole thing is crooked. It's supposed to sit some other way, probably. It's not getting it. Let's see. Go in here. That seems more solid. And it allows that to move. It won't go here, can't go there, can't go there. But I think that has to go here. And then this, with the other side high. And it's showing that goes in the lower side. That. So I didn't have it right the first time. Oh, hello, Kunkiti, I am good. Good morning and welcome again today. Thank you again for your subscription from the last time. And I think... And this goes... Should go on top there. Now this should go right. I've gotten on for the waist the front, the little rockets. And now we're doing the back, which is the thrusters. That should be that one. Yep, it works. Isn't that an awesome little gimmick? Now, let's see. What does it want on first? It wants this to close it. The paint should... Ooh. I guess it's not completely dry yet. Thought it would be. What did I get on my thumb? And I have to reapply. Not too bad. And then this. The gold rubbed all over the place on this one. Doesn't look as good as the other one, which is still on the runner. Maybe I can rub some of the paint off. Hi. One of the good things about this paint is that it's fairly easy to get off. All you have to do is rub a bit, and the front layer will come away. Sometimes you can even use plastic eraser and it'll come off. Right now it looks a bit dirty, and I don't like that. So I'm going to just get that a bit better. Getting that edge. That's better. Go on. Guess that's on all the way, and then the armor will go on around it. Whoops, not on. It's in. It's in all the way. Is there an up or down on the thruster? Ah, it wasn't in all the way. That's much better. And then the armor. And it doesn't seem like there's a particular order to them. One of these has, yeah, this side is longer. I'll put it on first. I guess if I really wanted to, I could silver up the vent here. But as this is a sniper unit, and sometimes he has to be sneaky, I think it's better if the ostentatious parts are a bit hidden. Little bitty secrets. That's a bit better. Which part is this? It's the right thruster, which goes onto the... Didn't want that to happen. It goes onto the back skirt. I was trying to figure out which part it would determine whether or not it mounts onto the left or the right side, and it's this one right here. So until that point, it could be mounted on the left or the right. And we have, looks like we have some information on here. So I can hold this up to the camera so that hopefully you can get the text here. And if you wanted on the VOD, you could pause it and read it. Really all that focused, is it? It's hard to get focused. I think this information is all there anyway. Some poses that you can get the Dynames into, including the prone sniping, which is pretty cool. And the shroud, which is part of the weapon system. And I especially like the part that you can open some of the flaps so that he can aim the pistols through. This one outlines some of the gimmicks. So it has some hip holsters for the pistols, the rockets, which we haven't gotten to, and the thrusters, which can deploy, as well as the drop-down hips. Let's continue on. Drop-down hits, as I said, this is part of this. It's extremely well detailed. It drops down that much, which of course would let the legs kick up more, and also getting out of the way. So let's see, it doesn't say to mount them yet. Oh, it has a unit in the middle that it mounts to first. I think something in the middle. I think it makes sense. It has to have something in the back to mount to. It is extremely cool. I like this unit. I'm looking forward to putting together the Kyros as well sometime later. Oh, we're not done with this yet. This is kind of behind my face here. This part that we need to do. I need C50. The part that's kind of like the action base. C4 and C6 go together. Here's C6. There's a lot of tricks. Yeah, this thing seems to be full of gimmicks from head to toe. So, you know that they put in a lot of engineering design effort into this in order to make it as cool as possible. And of course, the cooler it is, the more people are going to want it. So from a marketing standpoint, that's very smart. But just as a pure point of being a fan of the series and the suit design, I would get it just based on that. This goes here. Make this up more. Okay. Just like this. Part goes in here. Oh, it's the saber mounting. I think. That's actually in all the way. Doesn't seem to really be going anywhere. We'll go back all the way. Yeah, that's cool. Almost done with the body, and then afterwards I'll have to work on the weapon. Let's see. This goes like this. And then you can work on the other one. So the beam saber would attach to that. You can kind of see the depression in it for the beam saber as well, which I think is pretty cool. So let's do this other side now. And I need the other seat. Again, some super cool engineering in this suit. I love it, and it excites me that they put so much into this. I think even both Lock and Stratos might want the model. My headphone wire is getting stuck everywhere. I wanted it to go under so that it could stay in one place, basically. And C46. There you are. Unfortunately, not every master grade is created quite as cool as this, but they do go to quite a lot for things like this, and I really do like it. I'm also looking forward to the Virtue. As soon as I started seeing it more as a full armor, it made a lot more sense. Because if you look at not the full armor unicorn, but the full FATS, the full armor double Zeta, or the full armor Gundam, then you see that it has a lot of common elements with those. You have big armor being placed over top of a much smaller unit. Oh, that's done, runner. But that's gonna go on my bed until I package it away later. So we now know a bit more how this is going to connect. So it does make a lot of sense. Right. This. There's only one place for it to go. Because it doesn't go in all the way otherwise. This one. I guess since it's on the other side now, you have the higher side on this side. Whereas it was on the lower side before. And it definitely makes it obvious when things fit together. And then that works. Yeah. Let's this up. cover. Gotta push it down all the way. Now that is in. Excellent. It all works, and the gold adds just the right amount of flair, I think, to this. That looks awesome, in my humble opinion. So now I need from F2 these guys. No, wait. It's still F1? Oh, some of them are. That one is from F2, these two are from F1. Okay. It's easier once you've done things once and then you know what you should be doing with them. But then, before you've done things once and you're trying to figure things out, you just kind of have to try things until it works. And then I need line on the top. Are those for feet? Maybe. Some part's gonna have to go onto the knees. They're green too. Oh, you are awesome. Thank you. The mark should be a lot smaller if you take care to cut away first, and then you can get at the gate itself afterwards. And of course I'm putting my thumb over top to make sure that the little nubs don't fly away somewhere. The one that did yesterday, I found it on top of my laptop. Next, near this up, and then we will have the C parts again. My Gundam is only SD. It sounds funny. Well, everyone starts along somewhere. I think I've said before that the unfortunate part of SDs is that because it's developed on that budget in design, it's only had that much effort put into the development. It can still be good. It can still be a great model, but the part that seems to suffer the most are the color separation on the parts, as well as the posability in joints. So on an SD, you'll find they generally have a lot of stickers, but if you can also paint them instead of using the stickers. But sometimes you get stickers which they're just that much better than anything you could paint, so you could go with that. And hopefully they go on well. A lot of stickers tend to be designed for the... Now that is C6. Okay. They tend to be designed for flat surfaces, and those go on well. But the stickers that are designed for curved surfaces often aren't right. So you have a lot of those, for example, with the HGBF Super Fumina, the curved stickers, and they tend to crinkle up and crease, which doesn't look nice. But if you have the stickers for the flat, usually do work. It's just the ones that are curvy that are not right. What camera do I use to record? The one that's up here is a Logitech C920. That is my webcam. It doesn't have zoom, but it does everything that I like to use. And the one that I'm talking to there is the internal cam on my laptop. And together they do exactly what I need them to do, which is always good. I can never tell if the right side. I also use a Blue Yeti microphone. I do have a pop filter in front of it. It can be kind of tricky using the Yeti because it carries all the sound, everything that it hears, including vibrations. And so I have it up on a boom mic so that there are less vibrations. But the boom that has it, the suspension scissor boom that I have it suspended on, you need also an adapter in order to have it mounted up, and then it's mounted upside down on that. But from there it does pretty okay. I happen to have the boom that also has a little attachment for cell phones, and so I use my smartphone as the controller for my streams. If I want to go to a different scene, like to the games, to talking, whatever, I can use that, but I can also use OBS. This is very useful for when I'm capturing games and I don't want to have to switch to my OBS between. And so let's see. What's this part? Did I miss a step? I think I missed a step. There's something there that I should have and I don't see it. Let's see. Let me go back in the manual. Let's see, if we go back to here, the parts in between. Okay, that I have. All of this I have. Where's that part? I have the thruster. Is it there? A37 and A38. That's what it is. Okay. So it was on that page. Curiosity and questions answered. Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Definitely. Most of the times with these kits, what is good that you can make mistakes and go back and fix them. And I'm not just talking about when you miss parts that are on together, because it's happened a time or two when I've actually completely missed a part that should go inside the suit. I do have a part separator. It's a very simple one. So I was able to use that when I was building the Karadim, high-grade Karadim. Of course, there's no master grade in it. Not in that cup. Maybe in this one. Everything falling over. Okay. Yeah, it's in here. So if you have something like this, it's just part of a simple kit of tools for building. So you can use that to separate out the plastic or to help separate it out. If you need to put something like, say, a polycap into a chest part, then you can use that. Of course, I've got all these paint markers for adding detail. And I should also say that I often do my repaints with those because I don't have a spray gun. But it all ends up being fun anyway, and that's what matters most to me. Let's see. This goes on here, this goes on here. Wait, I think I have them upside down. Because the big part goes on the bottom. Start in all the way, excellent. And the beam sabers are B7. What is... Oh, I think I know. Those are the bipods for the rifle. B7 over here. This one may have a longer handle, but it also may be the difference in scale. Got some more hand covers on this, but it's also because it's a duplicate runner. So when you have duplicate runners like this one, you can end up with a lot of parts that you don't use. But if you end up with enough of them, you can also end up with some good material for a custom. You know, I like looking at things and going, how can I change this up for a better look or a look for me? It's the same top and bottom. That's kind of interesting, but I think grooves like this, they probably are for fitting into the hand. There. Kind of wondered where the beam saber is put on because it has no side skirt. That. I don't think there's any chest piece per se. So this is going to go directly onto the Dynames itself. And now it's like the Nyanxiang. Look at the numbers, it's very small. Right now it's like the Nyanxiang because it doesn't have any legs. But, kind of truck around. But it will have legs. I'm going to work on those next. For the leg units, 8 and 9. And I can't read the Japanese part, but you need A, C, D, F1, and F2, plus the hollow parts. No stickers for this. Yeah, I missed the numbers there. That's why I missed that. So I've got A and C here. And D, let me take back out. F1 and F2 are already out. I'm checking F the D hang out here. In the box. So we start with C. How much of A is left? Yes. How come there's not a second one for that then? Oh well. In the standing figure, that's all that's left of A. Looks awesome, and it's going to become even cooler. I should take out the holographic sheet. E17, let's start with this guy. I like the little Gundam time left. Which, what do you mean, the little Gundam time? Yeah. Oh. Make it more visible on the page. 11. This one. Like something has been accomplished. Yes. And I also like that as well. As you're building these, it definitely feels like you're accomplishing something, and definitely with your own two hands. I'm not much for carpentry or that kind of thing, but I think anyone who makes things gets the same sort of feeling. The main difference with these is that there's so much engineering that makes so much more quickly with these kits. I mean, weird. So you get that same feeling with a lot less efforts and parts and that kind of thing than you would if you were to, say, put a cabinet together. Although, of course, the cabinet is going to be a more functional piece than something like this. But it is a lot of fun. And I like doing this a lot. So that's what matters most to me. And of course, the ability to be able to share it with other people like you is also something that makes it a lot of fun. And I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't. Okay, so that's one. Like Gundam RX 7802. With that one, I like the simplicity of the design. It's simple, it's straightforward. Nothing all that fancy, but it's all got a functional place. How does this go together? Go in. Oh. Peggy Hole. This is a toe. But a lot of people forget the side with the grooves. Does that mean it goes back? I think it's like this. What a lot of people forget is that Amuro Ray had the Gundam for a really long time. He was using it throughout the 1 year war, and they only modified it, you know, in order to keep up with him and so that he could fight with Char. He didn't get mid-season upgrades in the form of the different suit. He had to stay with the Gundam, and it was the Gundam, for the entire time. There were just small changes made to it over time, but those changes were enough for his performance the entire time to be able to do well. Partly because he was new type, partly because he understood the unit as well as he did. And part of that is, of course, because he was able to access the schematics from his father. Not that his father gave them to him, he just had them. And you contrast that with Char, and Char had access to a number of different units throughout the series. Even beyond that, if you go as far as Char's counterattack, but with the main series, he had his Zaku 2. I think he even used the Zaku at one point, the Zaku 1, the original. And it's something that points to Char's skill, that he could press anyone in basically any unit that had been tuned up for him, greater speed. And it didn't matter what the unit was, he would still do extremely well, still get excellent performance out of it. Although it had to be in his red in order for him to feel comfortable with it, I guess. But he did do extremely well no matter what it was. So Char has been in both types of Zakus. He's been in Akkai's, and then you get into the larger units too that he's had. But first he had the basic ones, and he always pressed Rei, or he always pressed Amuro because of his skill, not because of the unit. And that contrasts directly with Amuro, because he had to learn how to use a very difficult unit from straight on. And even though there was a time, I think, when Sayla stole the Gundam and he got into the gun cannon, but that was the only other time during the main series when he was using a unit that was not Gundam. And so the rest of the time he was using that. So it's one good way to demonstrate the one of the many differences between Char and Amuro for the units that they used or did not use. 1 and 2. And then when they appeared in other series in the franchise, they did have different units, of course, because the original units had gotten destroyed. But otherwise, they would use the same thing. Did Amuro return in Zeta? I kind of forget now. But I do know that Char did, and he had a different unit for that. And then, of course, in Char's counterattack, you had, was it the Sasabi or the Night? Yeah, one of those. And then you also had for Amuro the new Gundam, but uh, he's also piloted a few other things, just as he appeared a couple of times, but not other than that. And as you can tell, I've watched quite a few of the series, but because the franchise is so big, it's easy to forget things as you watch them. Fortunately, though, you can watch a lot of it for free legally on Gundam Info on YouTube. So I like that as a source. They have different language versions, and they have different subtitled versions for people to watch, which is very useful for watching series that you might not have been able to previously. And because the main ones that came to North America are Wing and Seed, so that doesn't really give a lot of variety, but at the same time, it doesn't deal a lot with the main UC timeline, which is a shame because there's so much to it. I do think that if Star Wars had continued the way that Gundam did, we'd have so much more to enjoy in that franchise as well. But it was Gundam that continued for all these years, even though it took a lot of very obvious inspiration from Star Wars. So that's why, in KT, I know as much about Gundam as I do. Anyone can gain that kind of knowledge just from watching or reading. Guess that's the way it's supposed to go. And I do have to say that not every series is going to appeal to everyone, because there's a lot of different politics in it. It shows the wages of war and what happens when one kind of people discriminate against another. You don't make a diorama? No, I haven't done that. I have posed things together before, but I don't tend to do that very often. And I certainly haven't made a full scene, but you'll be able to see from some of the building contest entrance that that's what a lot of people do. They make entire scenes, and that's part of what would knock people off, as I mentioned before. Let's see. E49, starting with more of the... I suppose later on I could do dioramas too, but that's not something that I'm focused on at the moment. I think once I have more time to dedicate to these sort of things, then I probably would lean towards it, but not for the moment. 7. I thought this was an ankle guard. These gates were smaller, and I also forgot about cutting further away, but nub marks on this one aren't that bad. I do not recommend cutting right against the part for the darker colored parts, but that's not bad. So this is this part of the foot. And then this one goes under. I want to see if it snaps in. It doesn't seem to. It should, I think. Yeah, it does snap in after all. Okay. It looked like the part. I just wanted to make sure. It isn't interesting how, despite the frames being common across the four Gundam for Celestial Being, how different they are, including in the feet. I'm not sure how this would express long-range support in Sniper, but it's definitely different, very different from the feat that Exia has. And you can already see that. I think assembling a Gundam is difficult for me. It does take a lot of practice to get used to it usually. The people who can do it even faster than I can, or much faster than I can, they have either practiced or they have a knack for it. And I don't have the knack, but I can put things together pretty well when it comes down to it. I just try to be deliberate and work through it. And when I mess up, I go back and see where I messed up, and then I fix things. So those are the feet. You can see from my real grade Exia, it's a very different shape. You make it look so easy, thank you. That is, again, having done enough practice to be able to do it like that, and just working it through. The more you build, the better you will get at it. My first build was the HGBF Star Build Strike. I wouldn't recommend that for a first because it's a long build, and there are some parts that you would find to be tricky. For example, having to sandwich some polycap parts between in the legs to be able to get it so that it would stay. That's something that I found tricky. And I also didn't understand what was going on with the V-fin and forehead jewel because they weren't fitting together properly. The gun is very big. Do I have a gun part on here? The gun is going to get pretty big on some other parts. From this one, I don't see. Oh, I skipped part. I should be here. Well, we'll keep that there. B22 and 23. These parts are going to be quite a bit larger. Actually, it's not that much bigger. So these are parts of the legs. Goes like this. Yeah. C21 is... if it's upside down, so directionally I'm going to be challenging myself a bit. But if you think these parts are large, you should take a look at some perfect grades, because those are much larger, and then beyond perfect grades you get into mega size. So like I said before, I have the PG Exia. That isn't a mega size, but it's large enough that you can kind of fantasize about using the sword and shield yourself. It's just fun little thing sometimes, that the weapons are large enough. So you take, for example, the PG or the mega size RX-7802, the beam rifle. It's sized so that it looks like it could be a pistol that a person could carry. So that's pretty funny in my opinion. Of course, no one would ever mix up a beam rifle from Gundam for being real, which is also part of the good thing, since you wouldn't get into trouble for it. Although always be careful what you're carrying out into public. This is... Oh! That's where one of the holograms goes into. Okay. 19. This one. This is all frame, by the way. The armor will go in over the frame. That's what I was looking at before. And there is a lot of it. Nice. And polycap down there. D13. And most of the PGs, though, are prohibitively expensive for me. Exia is an exception, partially because of the design and how it's implemented. It's just such an awesome model, but also because it also happens to be less expensive, just, than any other one. And one of HLJ's sales. So, when I got it, not only was there a decent stock of them, I happened to get it for a lesser price, just for the sale part. But again, I also got the normal part and added on some third-party lights that were designed for it. So there is also that to recognize. Ooh, missiles right there. Missile parts. I like how the instructions are where they give different diagrams as well to help explain things more and to illustrate how things are supposed to be. It helps a lot to have some other companies that do models that aren't quite as good at explaining things in the pictorial sense. As of course, all of these are they're made in Japan, but they take care and know that a lot of their market isn't in Japan. So regardless of what language we actually speak or understand, we can still put these together based on the pictures, is I believe the basic idea. B51. This, I thought it was part of a foot. I'm gonna have to start putting parts together. Yeah. Those were all C's. Look at what I have left on the runner. That's it, on this giant runner. Okay. So wait here and start assembling. Because otherwise there's going to be too much on my table. Desk, I mean. So, knee part, start. Let's see. Did I take out C20? I may have missed it. No, I didn't take it out. What? Let's just put that up. So for this part, I need a holographic part. It's holographic part H, which I think is that. No, is that one. Are they the same? Having trouble reading the letters. That's H. Yeah, they're the same. Of course they are. At least that part is symmetrical. Huh. Okay. So this goes in here. Yes. And this one, like this, goes in up here. Oops. It went in sideways. Give me a moment. I like working with the holographic parts on this one so much better designs. Oh, only one of these sides has the little notches. Let's make sure this is all the way in. And now we can get, that looks like I. It should be one of these. Are they both I? I believe that they are. These aren't sticky, by the way. The way that they go in is just with the tabs. So let's see. The narrow part goes at the top. Thicker tab goes at the bottom. And it just seems to go in. The design and the engineering on these, I cannot say it enough. It's just wow at every single step. Wow, 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 over and over and over again. I guess this is for the ankle armor? Well, yes. Cannot say enough just how well everything goes together. Everything comes together perfectly. So you do have to line everything up in order for it to work, but it does work. Look at that light up. And even compared to the leg here, it's just so much better. Bandai really stepped up their game. So let's see. This part needs to go over the knee. Oh, it's the armor part. This part is common frame. So the GN frame is what it says on C. MG 1 to 100 scale GM frame. Or GN frame. It's the same frame that's on the Curios. Probably it will be included with the Virtue as well, despite the fact that Virtue has such large armor and weapons. And it's this which gives people hope that there will be an Exia 2.0 eventually. So this in here. This goes below somewhere? Oh, there's an indent. Betcha this is for the armor where it opens. It is shocking, isn't it? And then C44 again, I missed a part. It's still on the runner. But that's not a bad thing considering how many parts I had out on the table before. Good, very good. How many? Okay, so this is going to be a joint part. And then this one, it's not a lot left on this one. It is a big leg. Whoops. That's the first time part has actually fallen out on me. It should be easy enough to put back in though. It's just because I lifted it off without securing it. Sticky fingers. That up. That moved. It says on it, cut it cleanly. So if I press here, it should close. Close all the way. There we go. Excellent. And then this would build forward. We don't have the door for it yet, but we will. So the door will go there. What to do? It wants to bend a bit. Does it go behind? Yeah, it slides in behind. Don't know why exactly, but it does. I guess it's part of the armor. It's definitely big compared to an SD and HG. It's kind of like telling just the differences between the different types of units. 8 and 9. So cool. Definitely very, very cool. We've been continuously gushing about how it is. I don't know yet what this is, but we will find out. Oh, I have more. Let's cut out all of the parts for this, the rest of the page, which isn't all that much. Careful about this tab here. 3 is the, that goes here. 4 goes on this side. And then 6 will go on the back. Yeah, it's the back. What's particularly striking with this thing is that there isn't that much plastic, at least not as much as you would have thought, and yet it's completely packed with gimmicks and detail everywhere, absolutely everywhere. This will have to go back. Did I have it on backwards the whole time? That's not going anywhere. I had it on backwards. Silly me. You might say I be nuts. Oh, that's cool. So if I do... Oh, it didn't close. I thought this would be sliding armor, but it's not. But it's cool where the gray comes out behind. So let's see, these ones have to go onto the lower leg. One isn't quite. Maybe it's a nub. And of course I'll have the same issue when it gets time to do the other side. Should go into these tabs. Oh, have to move the part out of the way. Of course. But it doesn't show it bent. It shows it straight. Oh well. Maybe it's straight. Bring that out, and on this will go. Nice. Of course, we still need the center armor. Aha, we have a gun on the page, but we're not there yet. Oh, would you look at that? It doesn't tell us which order. We doing good. This way. 21. The only other one that looks like this. Any other D's? For the bottom, yes. These are both 23? Huh. I guess they just go on like caps. Legs look big. Not compared to my hand. These are just 1/44th scale, or 1/100 scale. The 1/144th is like the X here that I showed earlier. And then, of course, you have perfect grade, which is 1/60th. So those are pretty big. And then the mega size is about the size of a toddler, or maybe just the size of a baby. But still, big models. And that's scaling, so if you're looking for example, at the Neo Zong, which is already a massive thing, then you just get bigger and bigger all the time. You still have that in... Is that? Might be just an extra. I don't know where that one goes. Oh, I made one leg and not the other. Oh, I'll go back and do the other one. Get carried away with all the engineering. 2 pages left to try to enter. This one's thicker, got it further away. I think this is an excellent build, though. The way that it's designed is just... It's absolutely one of the best builds I have done. And I've done a few of them that are pretty good. But not a lot of them make me gush constantly about the quality and the design, believe it or not. I must have missed the part where that comes together. So, any parts left on here? Nope. I definitely missed the joint for the thigh, but probably tall. 18 meters if you're counting the whole thing. I think this should go on. There's no problem with this being tall. Because of the type of unit it is. Knee. There. It wasn't fitting right, just had to push a bit more. It looks even. Oh, but it's not. Fit better this way. Yes, fits precisely. Cut off the nubs. Now this will go on the hinge. I should pull out the hinge part first. So that's in the manual too. And down here, these are exactly the same though. Got a bit of nut there. And then this goes on there. Is it this even? Kind of looks like it. Looks great, thank you. It absolutely came together almost perfectly from the start, although of course I made mistakes, broke apart, repaired it. Yeah, you're definitely supposed to do both legs at the same time. I did the feet and then I got carried away. But where is the... here. I think, yeah. Right after the foot, that's the part that I missed, but I can do it now. Put all the parts on this runner. There really weren't that much to start. 9 on the left. For all the fact that it's a master grade, again, I was struck immediately by the fact that there was less plastic than I expected there to be. But it's not the only piece that's left on this runner. But there's only one other here. Did I use that somewhere? No, wait, this is the key, so I have them both still. See, cool, definitely cool. Oh, that's where that goes, that D part. This... go like this. I hope everything fits tightly and properly, because I did have an issue with my Master Grade GM Sniper 2 where one of the legs came on really loosely, so it doesn't have a lot of stability. I had to tighten it up, and I borrowed some nail polish to do that. As nail polish, you can add on, it adds on thicker layers than my plastic cement does, and it made it thick enough that it would stop the whole thing from moving around quite as much. So I do kind of question the permanence of it. So that's all of D. Bye bye, that goes. And I think where goes up. And that just makes it look better. This will go on. But the legs are symmetrical. So you could put that on the other one too. Is that the whole leg? Will I be able to put that on afterwards? Seems so. I may as well do that. But I'll save putting it onto the suit until after I have both legs. Is the MG big? It is that tall, basically. If I line this up right, I'm not going to put it on just yet. But you can see my hand on here. And so it's that big if I want to have it on the screen like that. That, if I get my real grade again, it's like that by comparison. I could compare it to a an SD as well. Give me a moment. Just grab what I have for a more standard side SD. It's most of the SDBF star winning. I use most of the parts to customize Super Fumina. So just the body. The upper body is kind of just the the whole body of the SD, and upper body on the Dynames is still taller. So it's quite a bit bigger. And it's got a ton of game. The star winning does have a real mode that looks like more like a high grade, but because it's an SD, all of its joints, or most of its joints, are also ball joints, which means that it comes out just as easily as any other joint on an SD, even in that form. So when you take it and put it also into its bigger flight form, it falls apart easily, and that's just the truth of the model. So now I should do the other leg, which means I need the other seat. I don't know what that part for the 8 is for just yet, but I'm assuming it'll come up. And so I really should put this together too. It is big. It's especially big when compared to the other scale models, apart from the PG. There's always a bigger fish. And I need C8, C9, and C14. C9. Keep on getting caught in my wire. 14. That. It is there. One of the parts that's great about this is that you know that all of this was specifically designed for this line of models. You know, these aren't parts that were adapted from an old model. So they are specifically being for this means that uh, everything should fit together tightly and rightly. So occasionally there are issues, quality issues, but that seems to happen very rarely with Bandai. It's always encouraging. Now size goes down. There we go. So that will be ready for the other leg. How long have we been going? 2 hours? Okay. And we're a bit familiar with this part of the process since we've already done it once. But it's always good to follow along with the instruction. Remember that all these parts come together just so. Keep on dragging on the wire. Oh, not that I don't need pretty much every part here. What are you? Move. Are you 12? Gotta be somewhere here. Good vibes, definitely. Have a relaxing time of it. There have been full days where I wanted to do nothing but build Gunpla. Can't do it when I'm working, but other days, sure. Especially if it's raining out. And the holographic part will go in there. Just like with the other time. It's easy to lose track of where things are when you're spinning the tree around, but that's the only way to get things out when you need them. I'm gonna depend too much. Barely cut that. So beautiful, thank you. D7 here. I get all of the C's on the table again. B. This one of the ones that I didn't cut up the first time. Get all this. Where does 20 go? No, it has to go somewhere here. I'll get to it. This time we know which direction this one goes in. Missile. I don't know which parts are missing by the steps that I did before. Which is good because then I can use them as cues to figure out where I should be in the build. And that's something that you get only with experience, but even the experience of just having built or starting building also counts. And I just found the 20. We're gonna find out what you are eventually. Alright. And prepare for holograph parts too. That goes on later. Going on sideways again. I can fix it. It was unsatisfied with its placement. There we go. And the other H goes. It's the one. This is the way. I did out too much. Bottom line up. Goes right in. It's downright uncanny how much better that fits and how well that works. It's the upper. I remember this has to go this way. Excellent. Sure that is in all the way. Just leave no doubt. And holographic part. Only got 2 left. Hope I didn't miss anything. In those before though. I didn't see any point where we could have missed where those go. Hopefully we did not. Alright, that's how it's going. Beautiful, cool, thank you. Here. Just there. And you'll notice all the times that I'm holding the holographic part in as I'm turning the part, but most of the time it just tabs in. And even if it fell out, I could just put it back. I have to catch the light right in order to reflect it. I'm trying to get the leg, but it's not working as much as the upper thigh. Design-wise, at least, there's not very much that can surpass. Me having done it once, it seems so much simpler than the second time. Let's go this way. And now we get to the D again. Extremely cool. It's 3, so it goes on this side. These other hand covers have got to go onto the holding hand. Nothing else would make sense. We'll be back later. What does it say to bring it forward when we need the space to do this? I think that's as close as it needs to go. It looks about the same. Interesting. A lot of models use the gray just to peek through, give some detail, but for this one, the gray of the frame is actually at the surface. I mean, it's probably not canonically it's probably not canonically the frame level. It's still probably armor, but that's the frame of the model. Stream so cool. Thank you. hoping that everyone who sees it can enjoy it. Alright, back to the D to finish this off. Orientation on this is the part that I found tricky before. Wish I could get my wires out of the way. Move that a bit so that you can actually see. Oh, how these parts go together despite them being exactly the same parts. There's one on either side. I didn't see till now where those smaller holographic parts can go. So hopefully I got most of it. We do have the bipod parts and the hand covers there. This may as well. This runner will be done. GG, thank you. Not quite done yet, although I think we'll have gone long enough for this stream, and then I will reserve the weapon system for the last. And the weapon system includes the big cloak, so it's a decent amount of material. We go. There we go. Do pick. See if this is the right way or if the other way. Huh. The way it landed was the right way. Pull this out. And in it goes. These guys that doesn't feel like it's on. Click. This. That way, this is this way. And the foot. Here we go. Maybe bring this down to do give me more room. Kinda looks gangly. Here's this on. Okay. Of course, when I push the hips up, it's gonna go like that. Oops. There was one of the fingers. Found it. Of course, the front skirts can go all over the place like that too. Be easily put back in. Oops. Again. Maybe easier if I don't have to deal with everything that's there. That's why I don't like those smaller ones. By putting things on first before putting it together. I was trying to post it anyway. But that is definitely a taller boy. That. So it's not completely unarmed, seeing as how it has these missile pods, as well as these. I succeeded, yes. But this is only the body. I haven't actually gotten to any of the weapons yet, or the shrouds, but I will. Also, check this out. Look down kind of like that, but he can look up. Almost from a standing position. That's just awesome. You don't have that kind of articulation in most of the Gundam because they don't have the neck rigged like that. So cool. Yes, it is. I only wish that my camera would focus on that, but I guess it's the writing. It's spoiling it. So if I move out my menu, it should automatically focus on it. But having that look at you, especially if he had its guns, that would be quite frightening. Come on, focus. No, kind of get the idea. But in any case, that is going to be kind of where I end the stream. It's hard to balance when I'm trying to get it to look right up. But heck, it's almost got it, and it's not directly on the table, it's on the cardboard that I use while I'm building. It's mostly on its toes, too. Because the toes, of course, are articulated. Goes up. And you can actually see the missiles more from there, too. Wow. That is a heck of a model already. I love it. It's one of my favorite builds, together with the HGCE Sinanju. Because that's an awesome build, too. And definitely one I would recommend. Definitely give a pass to the RG Sinanju in favor of the HG because it's so much more solid. Gundam cool, Gundam also excellent. So, as to the next time when I can do this, I can actually probably stream tomorrow too, because my shift is in the evening, so I have the morning. So that's when we'll go back into the book and get the weapons, I think. But that is just too cool. I mean, come on. When else, right? So you can look forward to that next time. Thank you for joining me today, Kunkiti. I will start to sign off for now. Next time will be the weapons and shroud. So far, I've been able to get exactly which parts I wanted to do done, so that's pretty good. So, thank you again for watching and for joining. Of course, if you liked what you saw, I have more VODs as well, some builds, some reviews, kind of stuff like that, as well as gameplays. They're mostly on my YouTube, so also on my Twitch channel. And if you like what you see, you can, of course, feel free to like, comment below what you thought, subscribe, ring that bell when you get notifications if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching over on my Twitch, you can drop me a follow, and you'll get notifications when I go live. And you can follow me on Twitter, although I use it seldom. It's still there. So I will choose someone to raid. Doesn't look like many people online right now. I think I should pause my meeting too, because I don't want to get my desktop audio anymore for the moment. Who should I raid? I don't remember if I've ever raided Wolfie Chew. I'm gonna raid her. So thanks again for watching, and until the next stream, video, or whatever, please do stay safe, stay healthy, most especially that, and remember to be excellent to one another. So thanks to you again for watching. Until the next time, bye-bye.